Hey folks, welcome to another VR video. This week I've got something that I've been teasing, well, since last week. I posted a picture of this bag right here on my Twitter feed, and I've put some more contextual clues throughout the week, and I'm sure probably 90% of you know what this is, but for the other 10% of you, we're going to do a bit of an unzipping and an unbagging. Last week, on Saturday, I did a bit of a retro VR special where I went back in time and I showed folks the Oculus DK1, and I'll be going back to that again in the future. But this week, I'm actually going to be showing you another piece of history. As we move the bag to the side here, I'm going to reveal to you the Nintendo Virtual Boy. Now, this device came out in 1995, and it's got a lot of the same remnants of what you'd see in a modern VR headset. It's got an IPD and focus adjustment. It's got volume and headphone jack. It's got the ability to use a controller. It's got two LED screens, red and black, in fact. It's probably got better black levels than some of the modern headsets, actually. But you know, holding it up to my face, it's complete darkness. And the reason for that is because the headset itself does not actually have any power. The power comes from the controller. Wait, haven't shown that yet. Right here. This is the Virtual Boy controller. And it looks a little bit different than a normal Nintendo controller. It's kind of the in-between the Nintendo 64 and Nintendo GameCube, I'd say. I know it came out after the SNES, but you've got two triggers right here, two D-pads, which is kind of unique for any controller, really, a select start and B and A button, and then the on-off button. So the on-off button is on the controller because right here at the back of the controller, there's this little piece here that houses six AA batteries. That's an insane amount of batteries for any device. And I'm going to be remedying that in the weeks ahead. I've ordered the actual AC adapter battery tap, which also connects right here to the back of the controller. So I should have unlimited power at that point. So the reason for the controller having the power, I'm assuming, is because this was supposed to originally be a head-mounted display. But the Virtual Boy is a little bit heavy. A little too heavy to probably put a strap or something of that nature on to place on someone's head. So instead of having it be something that you place on a head, again, this controller plugs in and it goes on this stand mounted with the legs facing away from you, like this, on a tabletop. What that allowed the Virtual Boy to do is mount right on the stand right here, like that. Plug in the controller over here. And then you can power it on by just hitting the on-off button right there. And then you lean into it. Just like any good project, right? So the Virtual Boy didn't have anything built into the unit as a piece of software. Cartridges actually go right here. And I do have a game installed right now, but I wanted to show you some of the other games that I have also in this bag right here. In the front of the bag is a pouch. And this bag is the performance bag that was built specifically for the Virtual Boy. So I have 8 games right now, with a couple more on the way. My favorite game, and the first game I ever played on a Virtual Boy, was this one right here, Red Alarm. But I do have 7 others, and I'm just going to show you the instruction booklets. This is for Red Alarm. And then we've got Golf, Mario Clash, Vertical Force, Mario Tennis, Panic Bomber, which is an offshoot of Bomberman, but in a very interesting and unique way. Virtual Boy Wario Land, and Teleroboxer. And in the weeks ahead, I'm going to be going over these games and potentially more as they come in. I've acquired some others. Again, some more surprises that we'll have in the weeks and months ahead. But this bag, I just wanted to show, has a pretty cool plastic pouch that holds 6 games. This was the official soft carrying case for the Virtual Boy. There was also a hard shell case that was available for rentals only at Blockbuster Video. Remember Blockbuster Video? I think there's one left in the world. The Virtual Boy is actually still for sale, as are the games in Japan, because they found some storage containers, like for shipping containers, full of Virtual Boy games and Virtual Boy consoles sometime in the last few years. So you can actually still buy one of these units in Japan at a store or through auctions or things of that nature. I acquired this from eBay, complete with 7 of the games. Teleroboxer I got separately from a different auction. And while the original cost was around, I believe, either $199 or $299, the price has gone up for pretty much everything. But I wanted to have one of these units to actually explore on the channel. Unfortunately, there's not a way with the current setup that I have to show you a direct feed from the Virtual Boy itself. So what I'm going to be doing is actually playing the games, giving my thoughts a little bit on the channel for each game in the Virtual Boy headset, but showing footage through an emulator on the Oculus Rift S that also can play through all of these games. And again, there will be more games coming in the weeks and months ahead. For now, though, I think it's time to power this thing on. And let's see what the 3D world is really like. Wait, maybe you should be the one saying this, right? Welcome to the 3rd dimension? So the first game we're going to be playing on the Virtual Boy is Teleroboxer. So this is the instruction manual for Teleroboxer. So one of the things and one of the reasons why I really liked the Virtual Boy and wanted to get a physical Virtual Boy and some of the physical hard copies of the games is because of the artwork and some of the detail that went into the manuals, whether they're instructions for the games or for the console or even for some of the accessories. What I didn't know is the archive.org website actually has scans of all of that information available. So I'm actually utilizing their scans for this section of each video. So this is Teleroboxer, the instruction booklet walkthrough essentially. So going through every game that was officially produced for the Virtual Boy, of which there were less than 30 total, including some prototypes that were mostly finished, has the Nintendo seal of quality. They've all been ESRB rated. They all come with this safety warning saying that this product should not be used by any children under the age of 7, which is similar to nowadays in modern VR, people saying that VR shouldn't be used by children under the age of 13. Each game's got its own art style and artwork. For this one, you've got the depiction of the giant robot and the human character that's powering it. Again, kind of reminded me of a movie that happened a little bit later called Real Steel, where there was a human character controlling a giant robot. It also kind of reminded me of something that happened just this past year at the World Cyber Games, where there was some VR competition, but there was also a competition with smaller scale robots being controlled by humans with motion controls on their arms. Before starting the game, one of the things that is pretty intelligent about the Virtual Boy that honestly, until I picked up one of the game manuals, I didn't realize, is how the IPD and focus works. So the IPD adjustment actually has 4 little VBs in the corner, and you want to actually focus it down to only seeing 3 of those VB marks, and that's how you can tell that your IPD adjustment is correct. Considering that the interpupillary distance is still kind of a challenge in modern VR, having that very standardized tool without having to look at numbers and things of that nature really does impress me for a device that came out again 25 years ago. Moving to the next mention here, the focus adjustment is just kind of a dial. I think my focus is very close to the center position, if not in the center position. There is an automatic pause function in every Virtual Boy game pack. That's so that you don't get eye strain, so that you're not using the game for too long for each session. And when you watch the gameplay that I'm going to include with Teleroboxer as well, there is one of those kind of take a break pause screens that happens. The way that this particular game does it is each round in the game is 1 minute. If you've got automatic pause functionality set to on, it actually turns on that automatic pause after each round of gameplay. A little bit of story background. Each game has a bit of a story, hopefully. This one definitely does. It's the 22nd century, a time when a technology called telerobotics is commonly used. And as you can see, there's kind of a almost like gladiator arena for the 2 robots battling it out. And you want to become the Teleroboxer champion. So again, this is a boxing game. It's got very similar goals to a very famous boxing game called Punch-Out, but the theme and the story is catered around this future technology, which works really well when you're using a VR headset. So it's a pretty interesting spin on the standard boxing game. Controller functions, I should have actually pulled out the controller for this, but we'll do that maybe in a future video for other games. You've got the L and R buttons, which are the triggers on the back of the controller, and the left and right control pads are used pretty extensively. You can select and cancel items using the A and B buttons. I have to say, didn't really find myself using the A and B buttons in my gameplay. I played through a few rounds with each of the first 2 combatants that you battle against. Didn't really find myself using the A and B buttons much, if at all. Pressing start pauses the game. Pressing select lets you switch to an adjustment screen to adjust for your eye separation and focus outside of the physical adjustments on the top of the screen. I'm sorry, top of the device. The L and R buttons are used to deliver punches. It works pretty well using the 2 triggers on the backs. They are also used to block punches and deliver special moves. So when you're guarding in front of your face, you're holding up on the D-pad and then holding the trigger. When you're guarding your body, you're kind of going inward with both D-pads and then triggering. Dodging left, just moving the D-pad to the left. Dodging right is using the right D-pad to the right. Ducking is pressing down on either D-pad, but not with the trigger. And then punches, a left jab is the left trigger, right jab is the right trigger, left body blow is left with the right D-pad move, right body blow is right on the right D-pad with the right button, left hook is left on the left D-pad plus the left trigger button, right hook is the opposite, and then left hook and left uppercut and right uppercut are downward on the D-pad plus the trigger button. And each of those moves is demonstrated in the gameplay that I'm about to show after this. How to play the game walks through the power, armor, and agility of each of the opponents and things of that nature. Shows you a little bit about what the game screen looks like. You've got a round number in the center of the screen with a clock underneath it that says the time that's left in the round, your strength meter, and your opponents. Reset low battery and save, pretty standard stuff. Clearing save data, pretty standard stuff as well. And then you get into the characters. So Harry is you. And it shows you kind of your special moves. You got a machine gun punch, machine gun body blow, machine gun hook, and machine gun uppercut. The first opponent that you encounter is Pajero, and the boxer's name is Johnny. The second one that I encountered, at least, is Spokong, which is Rick here. But they actually show Prin, powered by Sherry. I'm not sure what the difference there is, like why they're in this order, but I've only gotten to the first two boxers because it gets the difficulty really ramps up in this game. And then the last one that it shows, at least in this manual, is iKanger, which looks a little bit like a kangaroo, and that is powered and driven by Kevin. How to win, besides the standard punches, they all have their own special boxing attacks. The robots also have their own kind of counters and sneaky ways to avoid getting punched, which are interesting. And then you've got your important don't copy because it's illegal, don't use it with any unauthorized devices. It's got the Nintendo Consumer Assistance Hotline, which is actually all over the place with this device, and apparently still works to this day. I went to the Nintendo website just to Google the phone number, and it does still pop up as a legitimate phone number, even 25 years later. There was a 3-month limited warranty for the hardware and accessories. Those have long passed at this point. And then the last page is just the back of the manual. Again, it's got that customer service phone number and the Nintendo of America address, which again probably still exists. Alright, so the standard health and safety warning for Teleroboxer and any other Virtual Boy game. I did set this to automatically pause. And that first intro screen shows the creator of the Teleroboxer tournament. So that's what that was referring to. I'm assuming that may have actually been a scan of one of the developers, but it's hard to say. So this first opponent is, I think his name is Johnny, and it's Pajero. And Pajero is a giant robot, and very similar to, I think his name was Glass Joe in the original Punch-Out game. This particular battle wasn't the hardest battle on Earth, but you'll see I do some straight jabs, some uppercuts, and some body punches here. So you'll see all three types, and you'll see blocks from him, dodges from him attacking me, all happening. This particular match, as you can see in the middle of the screen, you have 60 seconds per round. I'm actually doing fairly well against the computer in this one. Here we go. Oh, whoops. So the audio here actually is a little timed out from my capture. So as you can see, the explosion happens there. Then it highlights the other character. He runs away. He has been knocked out. And I have won. So that's the first battle. Now we're going to move on to the next game. The second opponent is ridiculously more challenging. So this is Spokong now. And with Spokong, this particular battle, it's always like I got some punches and you can see some offense here, but then he's basically trolling me for the rest of the match, which is insane. Look at him laughing. So again, you're not using a motion controller, so you're not actually swinging, but I have to say the control schemes are pretty cool with the two triggers on the back, laying in the punches, and then the two D-pads very constructively and very intuitively being used to direct what type of punch it is. So very similar to using those 6-button layouts that you usually get with a Street Fighter game. And again, I apologize, the audio is about 10 to 15 seconds off in this capture. Right now, the first round here has ended, and we have moved into the round over take a break section, which again, as I mentioned earlier, that take a break section happens because I set up automatic pause. But again, back to the control scheme a little bit, the two D-pads work really well for this game in particular. Like I said, almost like the 6-button configuration you get with a Street Fighter game or things of that nature, because you've got 4 different actions that you can take with each of the D-pads plus the triggers. I was really impressed with how well that worked in this particular game. I have to say, though, the difficulty ramp up for this particular battle was insane. And you'll see that in just a second. The audio has already gone beyond what happens next in just a moment here. You will see that he's got me on the ropes right now, and boom. Really love the static snow there of Teleroboxer's like kill screen for your character. And so that's a bit of the gameplay. So there you have it, our first Virtual Boy Retro VR look back. I'm going to be doing this fairly frequently, but again, I don't want to dominate any particular topic on a weekly basis. So this will happen one time in a week on weeks that I do Virtual Boy content. I'm going to rotate between DK1, DK2, Virtual Boy, new VR, modern VR, as well as playing some emulated classics on the Quest and on other devices. So I hope you enjoy this format. I'm definitely going to continue with at least the Virtual Boy series. I've had some challenges with the DK1, working with some titles and not with others and things of that nature. So there is more content coming with that platform as well. But I'm really enjoying this look back at retro VR, at what VR was and where it's taken us to in the past 25 years. I'm growing my Virtual Boy collection in a physical format, and I'm really enjoying diving into the games in a realistic, tangible format in addition to using an emulator. Virtual Boys cost around $200 on auctions right now. They're actually fairly less expensive if you go through Yahoo Japan and use a middle person or company to ship from ship to their warehouse and ship to you through their warehouse. It's actually a little bit less expensive than using an eBay or trying to purchase direct through Amazon.com. I got lucky with the purchase. I ended up getting 7 of the 8 games, everything except for Teleroboxer, that I have acquired thus far with the Virtual Boy, and the Virtual Boy that I got is in an outstanding condition. But some of them need some work. There's some flaws in the mechanics a bit. Each of the Virtual Boys LED screens are attached to a ribbon cable that attaches to the rest of the device circuit board, and those ribbon cables are only attached to the screens via some glue. So over 25 years, the glue has dried out and started to detach. So there are people that physically repair Virtual Boys as well. So if you do get one that the screens don't look perfect or something of that nature, that's probably the cause. And if you look online, especially if you go to planetvb.com, which is a site dedicated solely to the Virtual Boy, you can find people that work on those repairs as well. So even if you see on there needs work or needs repairs, don't worry too much. Those repairs aren't super costly. For under $100, you'll probably be able to get those repairs done and have a very good quality Virtual Boy as well. Can't afford a Virtual Boy, don't want to have another physical object in your house, by all means, I encourage checking out Virtual Boy Go on the Go or the Quest device, or VBJIN or VBJIN, I think it might be, on a Rift or Rift S device. I believe VBJIN will work if you use Revive with the Vive or an Index or a Pimax headset, so check it out. There are, like I said, a handful of titles, around 30-ish, if you count all of the different derivatives between the United States and Japan and the prototypes that have surfaced since then, and a wealth of homebrew as well. It's something that there's still things being developed for because it is beloved. It was made by Gunpei Yokoi, the creator of the Game & Watch, the Game Boy, and then the Virtual Boy, who also left Nintendo and went on to make the Wonder Swan series of consoles for Bandai Namco. Complete genius when it came to making these somewhat portable devices, and the games that were made for them I really treasure. So I hope you enjoy this series. I'll be back with more VR content soon. Until next time, get out there and enjoy some VR for yourself, and thanks for watching.